Howdy Instagram, hi Facebook and YouTube. How are we doing? Hope you're having a great weekend. It was beautiful today. The most sunny day. I think we're going to have pretty naff weather forever now. So I hope you're okay. I went out and got me celebratory ice cream. So I want to talk to you today about the maths not mathin'. You know me as a very, very numbers data driven person. Obviously, I've built a calculator. I do so much stuff around pricing. And I'm very big on numbers, and I need to understand our numbers and what they can help us to work out. So I want to talk a little bit about that, in particular as it relates to you having hit this ceiling point of your business. If you are fully booked, if you're at capacity, if you have really reached this ceiling, in terms of income and in terms of time, then listen on. So have you hit your ceiling behind the chair? Are you so booked that you are working so much in the business that you cannot work on the business? Then I want to talk to you. Hiya, Claire. How's it going? So you might think these are your options ahead. You can work your way out of it. You can just keep going. The amount of people I've spoken to when I've asked, like, okay, what's the goal? How are we going to change this? How are things going to shift? It is, I'm just going to suck it up. I'm just going to deal with it. I'm just going to keep going, because if I keep going, maybe I'll get through the other end. Maybe that's what it's like, this pathway of like just push, and eventually everything will just work out okay in the end. Maybe you thought that you could just put your prices up, just kind of keep creeping your prices up, or you will just tough it out, because if you've got this far, then what's another year or two? Let me ponder on that for a second. What is another year or two if you're in this position now? Because I've had a lot of private conversations with you guys, and it is not good. You are not feeling great in this position. It looks great from the outside. People are very jealous. People are saying, I wish I was as busy as you. How did you do it? I'd, give anything to be in your position. But actually, behind closed doors, the reality that you guys are facing is not good at all. It doesn't feel good physically, emotionally, all the rest of it. So with this idea that I've hit the ceiling and I can just keep pushing on, I can just keep doing it, or maybe creeping the price up, it's just not going to work, because the maths isn't math and the numbers are not adding up. So behind the chair, if you follow me, you are a hairdresser, barber, beauty therapist, lash artist, nail artist. Maybe you do facials, semi-permanent makeup, aesthetics, dog groomer, that sort of thing. So you are a service-based entrepreneur. You work with people, or maybe dogs, a few of you, and you trade your time for money. Time is a finite resource, as in it's not infinite, as in there's 24 hours in a day. You get those 24 hours, then you lose them and you never get them back. And this goes on and on and on every single day. And for those of you in this position, you have reached this upper limit, or you're even beyond this limit. It feels like you're working more hours than actually exist. So let's just say, for easy math, I know it's different for all of you, but just for the sake of some easy numbers, let's say you make 60k a year in turnover and you have 50% margins, which means you make 30,000 in profits a year. And that is when you are maxed out. That is when you have reached this ceiling in terms of time, before you even think about the physical, the emotional, and your energetic capacity. You have reached time capacity. You have probably exhausted those other types of capacity as well, which I don't think we should forget about, because we really need those to be able to show up and give it 100% and do a really great job, and take care of ourselves as well. So you can't work anymore. Let's just agree on that. Some of you are trying. You're trying to really make hours that don't exist at all. But let's just agree that there is this limit in terms of time that you guys are working. And with your current rate of price increases, are they covering increasing costs? So for you behind the chair, that's the cost of your overheads, the cost of your bills, the cost of your stock, the cost of your booking system maybe going up, the cost of the bills, whether you're in a salon, whether you rent. Do your price increases that you're doing, and how regularly you're doing them, do they cover those things? And are they covering your increased cost of living? Because this is what we sometimes forget with pricing, is that when you're self-employed, there's two sides of this coin, right? There's the cost to do business, which everything goes up. Look at a lot of colour houses have put their prices up. We're seeing price increases across the board, from our suppliers. But also what's left So there's obviously turnovers, the total amount that you get, then there's the money that goes out, expenses, and there's a profit that you're left with. Obviously less taxes, but that profit has to cover your cost of living. So is anyone else's cost of living going up and up and up? Just the normal things that you would buy. So like the food, your bills, things like that at home. My mortgage this week has gone up by £200 a month. So straight away, what's that? £2,400 a year literally for nothing. That will not go, it's just interest. That will not go into my house. That will not become an asset. That is literally just over £2,000 out because of the rise in interest rates. Have you felt this as well yourself in your home, or has your rent gone up or anything like that? So let's be generous. Let's assume the best and say that your prices are covering these. And then my car insurance went double. Same, I moved house. I moved to a nicer area and my car insurance went up because I guess there are more claims here, or more like high value claims. But yeah, it goes up, you get more no claims, yet the price goes up. So we're just seeing this, very much across the board. Prices are increasing. So let's be generous and say that you are covering all of these things, right? So what happens if you now think, right, I need some more time back. I'm absolutely maxed out. I'm working, some of you that I'm speaking to are working 5 or 6 days a week. And you're not doing like 8-hour days either. You're doing like 10, 12-hour days in some cases. So what happens when you just try and drop a day and just think, I'm maxed out, I need some time for whatever that is. We'll talk about that in a sec. What happens when you just take that day away? You drop overnight, your income drops by a fifth. That's if you're working 5 days a week, your income drops by a fifth. You just slash that, you just cut that off. And this is why so many of you are stuck on what feels like this never-ending, you're calling it like a hamster wheel, a treadmill, this thing that just doesn't end, this perpetual cycle that just feels like every day feels like the next day. So you're telling me that every week feels the same. A lot of you have this thing where you say that you feel like you look up as if you are so head down focused in the business doing your thing that it's almost like you look up, or maybe it's like you're underwater and you kind of finally get up for air and you go, nothing has changed. This still feels exactly the same, even though I'm like battling through and trying my hardest to make this work and give you that little bit of extra time, maybe focus on other things and goals and whatnot. You're waiting for the day that it finally quietens down. But if anything, demand is higher than ever. The demand isn't going anywhere. In fact, for a lot of you, it's actually creeping up and up and up. And you've got all of these ideas. You're a creative person. You're an entrepreneur. This runs in your blood. This is in our genes. We can't not be creative. We can't not come up with ideas. We can't stop solving problems, and we can't stop thinking of creative, side hustles and things like that. So whether that for you are personal goals, so maybe it's travel, maybe you want a holiday, maybe you want a holiday without having to squeeze your clients out of the holiday a week or two, basically to other side. So the week before holidays is the most stressful week ever. And then you land and the week after holidays is, just as stressful, to the point where a lot of you are telling me it is literally not worth me going on holiday because I feel so anxious when I'm there and I'm so burnt out and knackered by the time I go, having to have dealt with all your clients. And then that you're coming back. And as soon as you land and your phone goes back on, you're in the land of phone signal. You're just going to start pinging with loads of notifications, and you know that you don't have any time to, relax. So it almost writes off the whole point of the holiday. It feels pointless for you. Maybe the thing that you want to do is just take up a new hobby. So it might be something like you would just want to pick up going to the gym, going to personal trainer, hiking, going out for walks, dance lessons, learning a language, whatever. Something that will make you feel heaps better, that will maybe scratch a social itch if you don't, have a lot of time to see friends and family outside of work. You think maybe I'll take up a class or a hobby so I can do that and meet people and talk to people, not just behind the chair. And actually just something to give you a little bit of space from the business. Or maybe, I know a lot of you have got heaps and heaps of ideas for new businesses, so business projects. A lot of you refer to it as side hustles. And I remember when Bossy Salon was a side hustle from 2018 to 2020, I had 2 years of this as a side hustle. And then it went absolutely insane. And now this is very much, it's been my full-time gig since I stopped doing hair in 2021. I could have stopped in 2020, but I, wanted to keep seeing my clients for a bit and I got very much beyond capacity, but also bear in mind my husband left his job to help me in 2020. So that's what was able to buy me that extra bit of time, because I had, a whole other person to help me support in the back end and the admin tasks and support and, that sort of thing. Just for like transparency, so you can see what goes into having building a side hustle, but actually getting it to the point where it becomes something viable, where you can actually fully step away from working behind the chair. Maybe you're thinking of ways of, coming up with passive income. So a lot of you are thinking of things like having a brand, like a beauty brand, or being an educator. Maybe it's being an educator for a brand, doing photo shoots, doing like competitions, because it's a lot of work to do those, and especially if you max out with client work, to work on shoots, to assist other people, really prominent people in the industry, or something like ebooks, having a membership, online education, doing the same sort of thing that I do. And this sort of goal is to really shift from working one-to-one, where it is time for money and you very much cap yourself in terms of income, to working in this more sort of one-to-many way, and really scaling your income past, and ultimately maybe leaving work behind the chair, or scaling it down, as for those of you as well who are like me and were knackered and ended up having back surgery or some sort of physical ailments, injuries. Perhaps it's like the age that you're at and you think, do you know what, I just cannot continue to do this for I've not got another 10 years in me or another 20 years in me. So I firmly believe that all of these options are available to you, by the way. And I'm able to believe that because I'm living proof of this. I did not have an MBA. I don't have a business degree. I don't even have a degree. I left school at 16. Came from a low income area. So I think if I have got this to this point, then I believe that it's available to, many, many of you as well. But all of these options require three things. So whether it's whether it's a hobby stuff, whether it's the side hustle stuff, or the business stuff, whether it's just having some more, being able to explore other options, right? They require three things. One, you need some time. Two, you need to maintain or ideally exceed your current level of income, because it will feel freaking terrifying to just chop off a fifth of your income straight away. And three, it needs to stick. A lot of people can kind of get a little bit of one, get a little bit of two, but they find three really, really hard. They find it very hard to make it stick. Because you can have the best of intentions one week. I think all of you do have the best of intentions. But then the next week you feel back to square one, and this cycle keeps repeating over and over for a lot of you. So for example, you in advance look at when a free day is in your diary, and you like block it out and say, right, that's my day. That's the day that I'm not going to do any clients. That's when I'm going to work on my side hustle, or that's when I'm going to do my admin or my social media planning or my, content scheduling or whatever it is. Something that you know is going to help the future you, that requires a little bit of time, a little bit of effort up front to get that on the back end. You keep this day free, and then you have this like guilt trip because a regular wants the time, and you're like, oh, okay, because you struggle to say no. You can put the boundary in. It's a bit like writing the policy, but not actually enforcing the policy. It's very much the same thing, but you're just doing it to yourself. So you kind of have a wobbler, a little guilt trip wobbler. You book the person in, and then you think to yourself, well, I'm already at work that day. I'm already going and doing my job, so I might as well fill the whole day up. And this is the cycle that just repeats and repeats and repeats until we break it. Let's have a look. Total Beauty Lauren, they 100% have given up nails because it was killing me, and I've earned more money this week, but have worked less. Yeah, we see this like a lot. And I see the numbers of this a lot with people that I work with. And this cycle just continues on and on and on and on. So this is why there's a few things that are really important in this process. One is community. Two, accountability. Repetition. Those are the things that are really, really key to integration. If I think about, I started going and seeing a PT, shout out to Phil, he's amazing. I started seeing him in March. I was coming back from LA in February, and I just thought, literally, I was still there, and I was like, I'm going to go and see him when I come back. And I pay him every month. So there's accountability. Also, it works very well for me to pay a person who's there waiting for me. So every 3 times a week, I think, shit, I need to go to the gym because Phil's there and I've paid him. So I have like my set time, I turn up. And do you think I work harder when he's there? You better bloody believe it. Like, he was on holiday just recently. Oh, I was like lifting the lightest weights. I was like, I'm meant to do 10, let's call it 6. Totally couldn't be asked because I didn't have someone there, not like kicking my ass necessarily, although he does, but very much motivating me, encouraging me, supporting me to do it, and really cheering me on. I also do that as part of a group, and I get so much help from the other women in my PT group, where we'll, celebrate each other and encourage each other to just go that little bit heavier, just go that little bit further, hit our PBs and all that sort of jazz. And repetition. Nothing that I find that the fitness journey and the business journey are so similar. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and go, I've got a 6-pack. But if you keep going to the gym, if you keep eating well, if you keep doing your steps, if you keep lifting weights, if you just keep showing up and repeating this and integrating it into your lifestyle, you will absolutely see changes. But it's got to work for you, and it's got to be something that where you feel supported enough to do that. And we don't just overhaul everything overnight. It just doesn't work. Things don't stick. Habits do not stick if you just try and change a million things overnight. So with me, with fitness, I knew I had these things that I was going to have to really drastically change, and I did them one step at a time. So I remember I had my tooth out, so I couldn't train. So the first thing I was like, I'm going to track my calories. So I did calories first. Then I was like, I can walk, so I'm going to track my steps. Then I started getting into macros, so I did that, and then I went to the gym. And that is why it's been able to stick, because I did everything in a particular order, and I stacked it on top one by one. And I didn't move on to the next thing until one thing had been cemented in, and then I stacked the next thing on top. So that is exactly the same way that I work, in particular with people who are fully booked. We have a program called Breakthrough. So we don't just overhaul everything overnight. Like, that would throw your nervous system into a frenzy. It would feel absolutely terrifying. You would not feel good about that at all. And I don't think anything would stick. It would feel incredibly stressful for actually everyone involved, for me, for you, and the rest of the group. But what we do instead, much like the fitness journey, we do small, impactful changes implemented together, as in within the group, within the community. We have a very small group inside of Breakthrough, and we do everything in the exact right order. So once something is done and implemented, we know it works. We go, right, let's move on to the next thing. And a bit like building a house, we go brick, 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 brick until the house is built. We don't just hoy a load of bricks and a load of cement and go, oh, hope this is going to turn out okay. Because it ain't going to. It's not going to look pretty, and it's not going to stay up. There is support from me. There is support from Hayley Jepson, who's my program coach. If you don't know Hayley, get to know Hayley. She is a qualified psychotherapist who now coaches the hair and beauty industry, and she helps people to have strong boundaries and therefore be able to avoid burnout. So Hayley's in there to support too. And we have a very small group of peers who all go through the process at the same time. And that is the magic of making it stick, because that is a bit where people become really, really unstuck. So all is to say, if you are working behind the chair and you are booked up, you are fully booked, you are at capacity, you are beyond capacity, you have a waiting list, you're rammed, basically. If this is you, if you are fully booked or beyond booked, and you want to sustainably drop, so I mean forever, not just for a week, but if you want to continually drop one day a week behind the chair without sacrificing any profits, for whatever reason, whether it's because you do want to explore something else, if you want to, scale a business in other ways, if you just want to have time to work on on more business strategy and growth strategy, if you just want to sit and do nothing, that's absolutely fine. And some breakthrough bosses have had lots of lovely rest days as well, which they very much deserve. If this is you, DM me the word busy and I'll show you how we can work together. There's an information page. You can have a full read, make sure it's a good fit for you. If you feel like it is, there's a link to an application form. Fill that in for me and I will pick up with you and we'll have a little chat to see if it all works. Wonderful. I will love you and leave you. I'm going to come back, I think, tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. I'll see you in a bit.